A class reunion. A dozen of us crammed into a karaoke booth, the liquor warming everyone's blood, and somebody started pushing a game called the Worst Cheater Challenge. The rules: take turns playing the ultimate trash X, and invent the most despicable thing you'd ever done to a partner. The more believable, the better. Loser picked up the tab. Timothy Fox pulled me close as he stood, a careless, wicked grin spreading across his face. All right, let me go hard. The day her grandmother passed, it wasn't that I couldn't get a train ticket. IT was Sheila Winfield's birthday. She said I was the only one who remembered. I hesitated, and then I never went to the station. The whole table howled, slapping the wood, telling him he was a natural. That $2,500 she wired me every month for living expenses, $1,500 of it went to covering Sheila's rent. I told her prices had gone up. Someone whistled. Brutal. Oscar-worthy. He tacked on another line, light as air. Last month, when she had her DNC, it wasn't a delayed flight. Sheila failed her road test for her driver's license and called me crying, begging me to come pick her up. The table exploded, laughing that he'd fabricated himself right past every line just to win. The karaoke lights flickered bright and dim, and no one noticed I was digging my nails into my own palm. Because 1 month ago, I really did have a DNC. It turned out every word of his trash talk performance was true. I took out my phone, pulled up the out-of-town offer I'd agonized over for so long, and pressed confirm. The party broke up, and everyone filed out of the karaoke place one by one. The December night wind was brutal. Sheila had worn a thin little slip dress, and she was shivering from the cold. Timothy slipped off his suit jacket, so naturally, and draped it over her shoulders. Wind's strong tonight. Don't catch a chill. Sheila flushed and thanked him. I was only wearing a thin blouse myself. Because before we left, Timothy had said the car had heat, so I shouldn't bundle up. Now, all I could do was hug my own arms. Because I just had the DNC a month ago, and my body still hadn't recovered. One gust of wind, and a dull ache spread low across my belly. When we reached the parking lot, I reached for the passenger door out of habit. The seat had been adjusted again, pulled forward, reclined at an angle. Without a word, I reached out to fix it. Timothy started the car, caught my movement in his peripheral vision, and frowned. Don't take what I said in that game to heart. Everyone was riding the high. If I didn't make it sound vicious, they wouldn't have bought it. I said nothing. Whether it was made up or not, we both knew the truth. Last month, I lay on the operating table, cold sweat breaking out from the pain. The nurse held my phone, telling me to call a family member to sign the consent forms. I called Timothy. The instant the call connected, the background noise was the loudspeaker of a driving test center. Timothy lowered his voice and said, "The flight's delayed. I'm still at the gate. The signal's bad." Then he hung up. Over the past month, I'd wanted to ask him about it 1,000 times. But in the end, I didn't even have the strength left to ask. The car stopped at a red light. Timothy fished an imported box of stomach medication from the door compartment and handed it to me. Sheila had something cold tonight. Her stomach's bound to be off. You're going into the office tomorrow. Drop this off to her on your way. Sheila and I worked in the same building. I was on the top floor. She was on the third. That box of stomach medication was something I'd had a friend personal shop for me from Hong Kong and Macau last week. Because Timothy was always getting blackout drunk to land clients, he developed a serious stomach condition. This medicine worked well, but it was hard to find back home. I went through 3 personal shoppers called in a pile of favors and waited half a month to get it. Now he hadn't even broken the seal on the box. He just grabbed it to play the generous benefactor with someone else's gift. "That's your medicine," I said quietly, not reaching to take it back. My stomach hasn't been bothering me much lately. She's delicate. Girls can't handle pain like that. Timothy spun the steering wheel as he spoke, utterly unbothered. I pulled my gaze back and watched the streetlights slide past the window. I said nothing more. I just put the box back in the storage compartment. Back home, Timothy went straight to the bathroom to shower. I walked into the bedroom, opened the closet, and started packing. The down payment on this apartment had been Timothy's, the mortgage we paid together. In the most prominent spot in the closet hung a bright yellow couture dress. He'd brought it back from a business trip last month. I passed a window display and thought it would look perfect on you, so I bought it. I'd never worn it. I don't wear bright yellow. Sheila does. And the dress was a size small. I'm a medium. I took the dress down, folded it carefully, and set it on Timothy's pillow. Then I pulled out my own clothes, a few gray and black pieces, and dropped them into the suitcase. The water shut off in the bathroom. Timothy came out, towel-drying his hair. When he saw the dress on the bed and the half-open suitcase on the floor, he stopped short. "What are you fussing with in the middle of the night?" "This isn't my size." I didn't look up. I kept folding. Timothy crossed the room and clamped a hand over mine. There was an edge of irritation in his voice. "What is wrong with you today? You've had that face on since we left the karaoke bar. Do I really have to spell out every word from that stupid game for you?" Sheila just broke up with her boyfriend. She's a wreck. So I look out for an old classmate a little. What's the problem? Do you have to blow it so out of proportion, packing a suitcase and throwing a fit over nothing? Just then, his phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up. Sheila had sent a long voice message. Timothy didn't bother to hide it from me. He played it right there. "Timothy, are you home yet? I'm all alone here, and I'm a little scared. I think someone was knocking just now." Her voice carried an unmistakable sob, pitiful and helpless. Timothy's brows snapped together at once. He didn't even dry his hair. He grabbed the car keys off the entry table. "It's not safe for Sheila to be alone. I'm going to check on her." At the door, he paused and glanced back at me. "There's that date porridge you made yesterday in the pot. Heat it up for me. My stomach's a little off. I'll eat when I get back." Bang. The door shut. I stood there a long time, staring at that locked security door. The old me would have stopped him. What kind of man goes to a single woman's place in the dead of night? But tonight I didn't. I walked calmly to the kitchen and lifted the lid off the clay pot. He'd complained about his stomach yesterday, so I'd simmer date and millet porridge for 3 hours. I picked up the pot and poured every drop down the drain. Since he'd given away his stomach medicine, he didn't need my porridge either. I'd been on leave these past few days, resting. The D&C had taken a toll on me, and the doctor told me to recover quietly. But I just replied to the new company and set my start date for Monday, which meant I had only 3 days to move out. The next morning, Timothy never came home. I got up early and went down to the property management office to file the waiver transferring the parking spot out of my name. The parking space was something we'd bought together, but it was registered in my name. Since I was leaving, I wouldn't take a single thread that tied me to him. After finishing the paperwork, I stopped at the bakery near the complex gates and bought a hot soy milk. The moment I turned around, I saw Timothy's black sedan idling at the curb. He climbed out of the driver's seat, 2 steaming cups of century egg congee in his hands. Sheila leaned out from the passenger window, her smile bright as morning sunlight. "Thank you, Timothy, for waiting in line to get me breakfast." He reached over and ruffled her hair, his voice gentler than I'd ever heard it. "Eat it while it's hot. I'll drive you to work after." I stood behind the bakery's steamers. White curls of heat blurred my vision. That congee came from the East District, notoriously hard to get. Timothy hated waiting in line more than anything. Back when he took me to a movie, even 5 extra minutes in a queue could set him off. But for Sheila, he'd cross half the city through morning rush hour and stand in line for 30 minutes. I remembered 2 weeks ago, when I'd just come home from surgery. I lay in bed, to sort of move, and told him I wanted the kanji from the East District. He sat on the couch playing his game, not even lifting his head. That's too far. It's over an hour round trip. Just order delivery. When the delivery finally came, the kanji had congealed into a cold lump. I forced down a few bites, fighting the nausea, and threw all of it back up. Timothy didn't so much as set down his phone. Why are you so high maintenance? A little cold won't kill you. So he wasn't incapable of tenderness. It was just that the person he cherished had never been me. I dropped that untouched cup of hot soy milk into the trash can beside me. Then I turned and went home. That afternoon, I started erasing every trace of myself from the apartment. The matching couple's toothbrushes on the sink. I threw mine away. The his and her slippers by the door went into the trash bag too. The little pickle dishes I'd made for him, still in the fridge, I poured all of them out. Watching the rooms grow emptier, piece by piece, I felt nothing at all. Just as I sealed the first cardboard box, the hospital called. Miss Pruitt, the results from your follow-up after the DNC are in. They're not good. You'll need to come in with a family member. My hand froze on the tape gun. Can't I just come by myself? We'd recommend bringing a family member because we may need to do a minor procedure on the spot and we'll need a relative to sign. I was silent for 2 seconds. I drew a deep breath and dialed Timothy. The phone rang a long time before he picked up. The background was loud, cheerful electronic music, a roar of voices. What is it? There was an edge of impatience in his voice. The hospital wants me to come in for the follow-up results. They said it's not good, and they need a family member to come sign. Can you come? The line went quiet for 2 seconds. Didn't I tell you I'm out scouting an event venue with a client? It's nothing serious, and you still need a family member there? Are you a 3-year-old? He didn't even ask what wasn't good. Right then, Sheila's voice rang out beside him, crisp and coaxing. Timothy, isn't this Stella Lou plushie cute? Will you grab it for me? Please. I heard it, but I didn't call him out. Fine, got it. I hung up calmly and took a cab to the hospital alone. The doctor watched me walk in by myself and let out a sigh. Your uterus hasn't healed well. There's mild intrauterine adhesion. You'll need a minor surgery to remove it. Still no family member coming? Someone has to sign and take responsibility for the procedure. I picked up the pen on the desk and wrote my own name in the family member field of the consent form. No family. I can take responsibility for myself. Just like that afternoon a month ago, the one with the hemorrhage. I signed alone. I lay down on the cold operating table alone. Fully conscious, I felt every scrape of the cold instruments inside my body. Tears slid from the corners of my eyes and soaked into the sterile pillow cloth. By the time I walked out of the hospital, the sky had gone pitch black. A minor surgery didn't require admission. But with every step, my lower belly dragged with a pain like knives twisting inside me. Outside, the rain came down hard, out of nowhere. A December winter rain, cold enough to cut to the bone. I couldn't get a cab at the hospital entrance. On the ride app, more than 80 people were ahead of me in the queue. I gripped the iron pole of the bus stop sign, in too much pain to straighten my back. A familiar black sedan rolled slowly past in front of me. The window was halfway down for air. I saw clearly that Timothy was sitting in the driver's seat. In the passenger seat, Sheila was hugging a purple plush toy, laughing so hard she was doubled over. Timothy turned his head, pulled out a tissue, and wiped the milk tea from the corner of her mouth with the most effortless, natural motion. Just like 7 years ago, when we'd first started dating, when he used to wipe the ice cream from the corner of my mouth. I took out my phone and dialed his number. What is it? Didn't I say I was busy? Timothy, it's pouring out here. I'm at the entrance of City General Hospital. I just had surgery, and I can't get a cab. Through the curtain of rain, I watched the man in that car up ahead. He frowned slightly and glanced over at Sheila beside him. I'm still out in the suburbs having dinner with a client. I won't be back for a while. Find a cafe nearby and sit for a bit. Call a cab once the rain stops. And with that, he hung up without a second of hesitation. The light turned green. His car eased forward, tires rolling over a puddle. The muddy water it kicked up landed on my white canvas shoes. I watched those red taillights vanish completely into the rain. I didn't cry. I just quietly opened my contacts and dragged his number into the blocked list. By the time I got home, I was soaked through. My bullet train ticket was booked for tomorrow afternoon. My things were already packed into 2 large cardboard boxes. A courier company would come to pick them up tomorrow morning. At 11:30 that night, the door lock clicked softly. Timothy walked in trailing the cold night air. How did the follow-up come out? What did the doctor say? Nothing serious. My voice was so calm it surprised even me. He took a sip of water and went to sit on the edge of a couch. His gaze swept across the empty coffee table, and his brow knit at once. Where do you put the couple's mugs from the table? I can't find them. Threw them out. Why would you throw out perfectly good mugs? There was a chip cracked into the rim of that one. Keep it around, and it'll cut your mouth. Timothy stared at me suspiciously for a moment. What's gotten into you today? All this snide attitude. Are you still mad I didn't come pick you up this afternoon? He pinched the bridge of his nose, putting on a show of utter exhaustion. Layla, can't you cut me some slack? I'm slammed at work every single day. Where would I find the time to revolve around you? Sheila ran into a problem at work today and got chewed out by her supervisor until she cried. She's pretty down. As your senior from school and an old friend, I could hardly stand by and do nothing. You're a grown woman. Can't you show a little sense? Stop throwing tantrums over every petty little thing. Sense. I looked at the man in front of me. 7 years together. I'd followed him from a leaky basement studio to a luxury apartment. I'd eaten instant noodles beside him through all-nighters spent grinding out proposals. On one frigid winter night, when his fever spiked to 104, I carried him on my back for a mile and a half to the ER. And now he was telling me to show some sense. Fine. I'll be understanding. I looked him straight in the eye and said it word by word. Timothy froze. He probably hadn't expected me to give in so easily. The irritation drained from his face in an instant, replaced by a mild, gentle expression. He reached out to pull me into a hug. I knew you were always the reasonable one. I turned my body lightly to the side, slipping out from under his hand. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. That night, I slept in the spare bedroom, and I locked the door. The next morning, I called for a courier early and shipped 2 cardboard boxes off to my new company in another city. When Timothy got up, I was sitting on the couch checking the route to the train station. I've got meetings at the branch office today. I probably won't be home tonight. He said it while knotting his tie in front of the mirror. I already knew. Sheila was going to the branch office today to work on the project. I didn't even look up. He put on his shoes, walked to the door, rested his hand on the handle, and suddenly paused. Oh, right. Next week's your birthday. What do you want? I'll order it ahead of time. No need. I've already got everything arranged. My tone was flat. Timothy didn't catch anything off. He just assumed I'd gotten over my sulk. Good then. Once I get through this busy stretch, I'll spend some real time with you. The security door slammed shut with a bang, and the apartment went completely silent. I stood up and tucked the divorce papers I'd signed alone the night before, along with the spare key to the front door, under the coffee table. I pulled out the little suitcase I'd packed long ago and took one last look around the apartment I'd lived in for 3 years. There was only an overwhelming, weightless sense of relief. The elevator doors slid slowly shut. With a soft chime, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Timothy. I'm at the office. Sheila said she wants the cake from that place in the East District, so I'll grab some on the way. I'll order your birthday cake while I'm at it. What flavor do you want? I looked at that line on the screen. Then I tapped block. My 7 years of youth were officially over.